Assalamu alaikum.
Wa rahmatullahi.
Wa barakatuh.
My name's Junaid Rahim.
My name's Muhammad Yusuf Bashford.
And together we're affectionately known as...
The two white Muslims.
But you all knew that because you're watching this. We are joined today by
are.
somebody extraordinarily special.
We're honoured.
We are.
Privileged.
If you'd be kind enough to introduce yourself.
Assalamu alaikum both. This is Zara Mohammed, Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain.
Wow,
Thank
that's
you.
a long name.
Yes, how do you fit all that on a business
Secretary
card?
General, yeah, it's a big title, but you know, it's a big role.
That's absolutely a huge role.
Yes.
And first of all, congratulations
Thank you.
on attaining. I mean, it's an achievement, isn't it? It's a
Yeah,
massive
so
achievement.
I was elected last year, the first female, the
Yeah.
youngest, and the first Scot ever in the role. And I guess for the listeners, my predecessors averaged around 55 years old, and I was elected at 29.
Wow.
So yeah, a little bit of a change from, I guess, the normal
29?
29.
How come you look 12?
Yeah, how do you manage that?
Yeah. I'm actually 30 now, but
Wow.
let's not talk about it.
And you still look young enough to quote your own age.
Yeah.
Where we just go, well, you know, getting on.
in that year.
We're two old men with beards
Yes,
trying to make
yes,
a difference.
exactly
That's what
right.
we are.
Well, it's a delight to be joined with you both. Thank you so much for having me on.
No, thank you
The honour is
coming.
ours. It really
Yes,
is.
absolutely.
You know, and you know, the thing is to achieve what you have achieved and to be elected as the first female Secretary General of the Muslim Council of Britain. I mean, what does that feel like?
At the time, I mean, it was an incredible honour. It was slightly terrifying.
Yep.
It was, I guess, it brought a lot of joy to me as well, because I ran because of the potential, and I knew that Muslim communities were changing so much. You know, 50% of our demographic is under the age of 25. We really need to build for the future, and hey, like, isn't it about time? 50% are women, so I think there was a kind of great impetus for change and an excitement in it, but I knew it was going to be hard work, and it has been hard work.
Yeah.
You
Yes,
can
my
confirm
goodness.
that too.
Okay, let's put some things into perspective then. The Muslim Council of Britain is I mean, it looks after a number of mosques.
So,
So a number of mosques are affiliated. Is that how that works?
So it's a bit broader than that. So it's an umbrella organisation. It's the largest and most diverse representative body for Muslim organisations in the UK, which varies and includes mosques, but also charitable organisations, women's groups, professional networks, Muslim schools, associations of Muslim schools. So it's really, really broad and diverse, and that's across different ethnicities and geographies,
Of course, yeah.
cultural backgrounds, obviously generational. I guess the great thing about it is it's about bringing all the different parts of Muslim communities together. We're cross-sectarian, we're non-partisan, and we're purely funded by communities, so
Yes.
we're totally accountable to them too.
Yeah.
And we're a democratic organisation, so we have elections every 2 years.
Brilliant. So you'll in effect be running again in about 18 months' time.
Will you be running towards it or running away? What's your experience been?
I mean, I think it's been, obviously the election itself created international attention.
Yeah.
I mean, news media just couldn't believe that
Really?
a majority male membership elected this young female to represent this massive institution. So I was doing up to 9 interviews a day. I had my very
Wow.
famous Women's Hour interview on day 4 of my election, which went viral. And I think there was a lot of media tropes as well about me. You know, she's just a puppet, she's just a token. But aside from all of that, some of the highlights included, you know, the G20 Interfaith Summit, which I attended in Bologna, being featured in Vogue's 25 Most Influential Women.
Come on.
And just being, I mean, once the restrictions eased a bit, I finally got to meet communities.
Yeah.
I went to Manchester, Blackpool, Blackburn, Leicester, visited Muslim schools, and also just mainstream schools. A lot of young people have been so excited to see someone they can connect to.
Yeah.
And I always say to people that it's not really my gender that's been the biggest challenge, it's my age.
Really?
You know, I've been doing this for 35 years, what do you know, you know? So kind of, and also I guess that bit of imposter syndrome where you're just, yeah, this is me. And I think after like 6 months or so, I was like, no, I'm the boss. So,
Yeah.
we're doing it. We're doing this.
And you let them know it.
Yeah, and but media-wise, I mean, it's been, you know, especially we've had some really tough situations as well. I've had to respond to the terror attacks with
Of course.
conflict in Palestine. You know, wherever there are issues impacting British Muslims or Muslims globally, you know, I'm the one that has to go on the news and respond to that. So we had that Nuskani allegations of Muslimness in Islamophobia, and so I did about 20 interviews in 2 days. I was on LBC with Ian Dale, you know, so I've had the real, some people say a bit of a baptism of fire at the start, but it's never stopped.
Yeah.
And Muslims, as our communities, we never stop with problems. But they say a sign of a good leader is someone, you know, if they stop coming to you with problems, it means you're not really that good a leader anymore.
Absolutely.
So,
Yes.
you know,
Yeah.
so I should embrace the problems.
Yes.
But it's great. And then coming here, the trip to Batley and Dewsbury and meeting communities, I mean, that's the highlight for me, getting to see the local work that's going on. Because sometimes at a national level it can get very negative, you know, some of the stuff. But when you just see local communities coming together and doing great work, it really just, it gives you that strength to keep going.
Yeah.
Now you've kind of reached the pinnacle of your career, because finally you've met the two white Muslims. I mean,
Yeah, it's-
how
how
does
did you
that
know?
feel?
How did you
does that
know?
feel?
To be honest, I didn't know if I was going to be able to cope with this. And I wanted to play it pretty cool for you guys.
It's
done
working.
really well so
You've done
far.
a phenomenal job
But
so
I'm
far.
just trying to contain my excitement. But I will get autographs and a selfie. But I just don't want to be over the top.
Absolutely.
I've got to keep my, you know, my base happy.
Dinner today. She's really good.
Amazing. Amazing. This is brilliant. Brilliant.
So tell me, what does the MCB do in, you know, we've got thousands of masjids in this country. We've got a lot of ethnic masjids, so you know the Pakistani built masjids, just
Yeah.
Pakistanis go there, Bangladeshis build them, Bangladeshis go there. You've got the Salafi, you've got the Deobandi, you've
everything
got the
in
Brelvi,
between,
you've got
yeah.
this, that and the other. In my experience, I come from a small town called Wakefield. It's actually a city, to be fair. And there are 7 mosques in Wakefield, and they don't talk to each other. And that disunity causes problems. It causes problems at a community level, but also at a national level and a global level. When Muslims start to talk to each other, and when Muslims unify, we can sort out major problems around the world just by vocalising from the singing from the same sheet, as they say. What's the Muslim Council of Britain doing regarding unity?
No, absolutely. One of my priorities coming in was diversity and inclusion, because I do feel, I'm third generation Pakistani, British Pakistani, Muslim Pakistani, I have all these multiple identities, right? And even for me, I'm like, I don't even know if I really belong. Are they going to let me in, you know? So all of us have our differences or quirks or whatever. But I know that we have serious challenges. When I spoke at the G20, it was about racism within religion, you know, and owning up to it, and our institutions are changing. So we do have a national kind of program for change, reform, and it's going to take time, but the idea is that mosques need to be inclusive spaces. They need to be leading in health and safety and good governance. They need to be working together. We have our Mosque Our Future conference. But I realise that whilst we have all of the strategy on what we need to do, we have to go talk to them. We have to build the relationships. We have to get the understanding, because change can't be an imposition. I mean, change is always going to happen, but if you can bring partnership to it, and there will be some that will and some that won't, but ultimately, you know, young people today, especially those that even more multiple identities, they're not growing up with a very strong cultural identity. They're growing up with a British one. They're not growing up with even a strong religious identity, but by default of their name or the way they look, they've got it. So the way I see it is, we have to build for them, and our institutions need to be fit for purpose. So we are working on it. But as I said, we had the strategy, but we realised who's going to follow it if we don't have the relationships. So part of me engaging and doing that work is, you know, breaking through. In some ways, them talking to me is kind of a big deal. But also saying, look, we've got to get better, because, you know, communities are at stake. So please be rest assured, I don't think we're going to solve all of the problems, but whether it's about inclusion of diverse communities, minority communities within ours, convert or revert, whichever type, you know, or the Black Muslim community, or even minority, you know, the smaller kind of cultural minorities, everybody says the same thing, which is, you know, there are some mosques, they're so inclusive, so diverse, and they're thriving, and others, there's like 10 of them on the street, and you know, it's it depends on which affiliation you have to go in. But when it comes to, and we had, like, for example, the situation in Southend with David Amos, or Liverpool, you know, we had to bring all of those mosques together, and they actually said this is the first time, you know, we're working together, because did it matter which association or affiliation you were, you know, because the national politics said, Muslims, oh, here we go again, you
Mhm.
know, and we had to work together. So I would really rather us work together because it's healthy and it's good rather than in crisis. But if we need to use the crisis, we'll do that too. And so there's challenges, but I do feel like there is a positive trend. There's definitely positive changes and in the new ways that mosques are being built, but it's beyond mosques, right? Because not everybody is seeing the mosque as the go-to, you know.
Yeah.
People are building organisations,
Yes.
community groups, networks, and they're finding their own path. So that's why the great thing about the MCB is that, like, you know, well, everybody's welcome in that regard.
Yeah.
But unity is always an objective and a goal that we all
Yes.
try and pursue.
Yeah, yeah. But as we say, such an important one. And, you know, I almost feel terrible even saying this because it highlights, I was going to say, your gender and your age, which you've already mentioned. The mere fact that, you know, you are in this amazing position
Yeah.
is a wonderful sign to you know, certainly our community, to the UK, as you rightly say, to the world. It's brilliant. It shouldn't be. It
But-
shouldn't make a difference. It shouldn't,
I
but
know.
it does. So, you know, congratulations. I can't
Oh,
say how
thank
excited
you.
we are. It's absolutely
No,
incredible.
I'm so, and even 2 weeks ago I was in Istanbul for a human rights conference and I was on the Europe panel and so human rights abuses facing Muslims. But I said, look, you know, at the end of the day, I'm very proud to be British. Would I be here but for, you know, a woman leading this huge organisation? But we are British and that is possible here. And I said we should reflect as Muslims on our own countries and what kind of leadership we're doing. But on the same hand, I will absolutely own up to our problems. But for me, it's so inspiring that I'm going into very male-dominated and traditional and conservative spaces and having free and frank conversation. But again, it's not aggressive.
Yeah.
It's not hostile. It's saying, I am not the leader for women. I'm the leader for everybody.
Yes.
I'm going to work with everybody and help me understand how we can work through this. And just in the 2 days we've had, there's definitely spaces I've gone into that I don't know if other women have.
No, I mean, it's just what
And
I'm
it's
saying
been
about
great. It's been great.
because this is how it should be. We've got to break down these barriers, and some of them may be generational, some of them may be cultural. But as Yusuf says, unity. What's our we strive for?
Our mantra is unity in community.
Oh, lovely.
Because
You know,
with that, you
bring it
know,
on.
the whole of humanity, ultimately,
Absolutely.
but you know, one person at a time. But it's all about unity, and yeah, the mere fact that you are going into these places that historically other women haven't been able
To
to.
boldly go where no woman
It's
has gone
brilliant,
before.
and with such confidence, and with such knowledge, and with, you know, such spirit, and with such enthusiasm, it's amazing.
Yeah, I
It's
think
wonderful.
It's a little bit of
I mean,
Scottish
all-
in me, you know. I think it helps power
Little
me
bit.
on.
Yes.
A wee bit of Scottish in me that helps power me on. But I do also think perhaps sometimes it's also overcoming my own assumptions and biases and doubts. And you do think, because I have to be honest, everywhere I've gone, people have been so welcoming, so hospitable. I've sat in a mosque in Leicester with 45 members of community from imams, scholars, academics, you know, majority men. Me at the front, they're sitting on the floor and we're having this 2.5 hour Q&A.
Yeah.
And internally I'm thinking, oh wow, is this happening? And I'm like, yeah, of course it's happening.
Yeah.
And I just assert, well look, I represent the office of the Secretary General.
Yeah.
You know. So that's what I'm here to do. I represent a mandate.
Yeah.
And we've got things to get done.
Yes.
So we better get on with it.
Yeah, yeah, brilliant. Oh my goodness. No, it's amazing. And the mere fact that you've come here today is just, it's incredibly special. We're so grateful. Thank you very much indeed. It's absolutely incredible.
It's been a really special trip for me, and I just want to say that I'm so inspired by the communities. I think the work that they're doing, whether it's in the interfaith space or the youth space, or even the Muslim Islamic development educational space, I think there are people really pushing the boundaries, but most importantly, they're keeping people together. They're keeping our communities united, and they're making sure that those who are a bit more vulnerable aren't falling through the cracks, or when divisive politics are coming from a national point of view, they're just holding on, right? Holding on to that rope of Allah and staying strong. So I think the community spirit is something that I'll be sharing widely.
Brilliant.
And it's been a pleasure to meet you both, and thank you for having me on.
In just this short time, we've had a number of comments come through.
Oh, really?
We've got MashaAllah. We've got may Allah make it easy for my brothers and sisters in the UK and across Europe. We've got various Salaam Alaikums, etc., etc. We get audience from around the world.
Oh wow.
So there's people in
Okay.
Indonesia, Bangladesh, Pakistan, Malaysia watching as we speak.
Well, assalamualaikum to everybody. I think when I was elected, I was training in India for a little bit.
Yeah.
Fun fact. But no, it's great, and I think people need hope. You know, we
Yeah.
all need hope. We all need some inspiration,
Yeah.
and I think whatever little part we can play in that, you know, we should do so. So I think it's great that, especially communication and bringing communities together in
Yeah.
such a way that you are doing is
Mhm.
great. And part of my other part of my job is to get MCB really digital and get
Yeah.
a much bigger social media footprint and
Yeah.
really share the work that we're doing, because
Yeah.
people don't know, who are you, what do you actually do,
Yes. Yeah.
and that is the question we've got to answer. So this state visit, as it was called by Leeds Radio this morning.
State visit.
State visit.
Well, but you're in the centre of the universe. You're in
State
Dewsbury.
Dewsbury.
Oh gosh.
But I think it's. I remember hearing, and it's so true that, you know, as human beings, we're actively seeking leadership. You know, we tend to look outside ourselves for guidance, and obviously, you know, as Muslims, we turn to the Quran and Hadith, and then beyond that, we do turn to people. And if I haven't said, I have a habit of repeating myself. If I haven't said enough, the leadership now that you bring about and that you encapsulate is phenomenal, and it's exciting, and we're just thrilled. It's
Oh.
brilliant. So
Yeah.
congratulations once
Well
again.
done,
Thank you.
congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And,
Well, I'm going to do
may-
my best.
May
Okay.
Allah make it easier for you
Inshallah.
going forward,
Thank you
and
so much.
may Allah make it so that in 18 months' time you can be re-elected.
It's a given. Just that it's a
Yeah.
given.
It's less than a year now, actually. I've done
Wow,
one year of term,
crikey.
so next election's Jan 2023. But let's
Wow.
see how I do. Like, let's take it one day at a time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Because you know, it's a hard job.
Thank you so
Yes,
much
yes.
for joining us today.
Thank
Do
you so
appreciate
much.
it. Thank you.
No, definitely.
Okay, Assalamu alaikum
Bye.
Wa rahmatullahi.
wa barakatuh.
I've been Junaid Rahim.
I've been Mohammed Yusuf Bashforth.
And we've been joined by
Sarah.
Alhamdulillah. Everybody out there, stay safe, stay well. We'll see you next time, inshallah. Thank you so much for joining us, and take care. We will see you all soon.